This is Space Cat's Peace Turtles, the unofficial podcast for Fantasy Flight's Twilight Imperium. Episode 75, Content Creation with James Bocks. Music by Ben Prunty, featuring Matt Martins and Hunter Donaldson.
So maybe that's where we start. You know, we're in the episode already, and what we're talking about is the pre-episode. Have we talked about that on the show yet?
We've never talked about the pre-episode.
So the pre-episode, here's how it works. We plan out the episode. We get all of, especially with the Space Kitty episode, it's fun because we have a guest, and the three of us talk about it. We get super jazzed to do it. Then we kill all of that energy by sitting in silence for 5 seconds so that Matt has his 5 seconds of silence that he's got to have. And then we do these weird 1, 2, 3 clap syncs so that we can all sync up our audio. And it just completely kills the momentum. And it's why every single episode just has every single start to every single episode of the show feels like, have these guys ever done this before? Like,
Definitely not.
Why is there such a weird energy in the air?
You think after 74 episodes they'd be okay at this?
I am no more comfortable doing this today than I was the first day.
Hey Hunter, what a better transition to let's introduce James, because James is going to interview us today about how we make the podcast that we have no confidence in making.
Right, yes, very good.
James, say hi.
Hello.
How's it going? Welcome. Welcome to your show. Today's your show, so I feel like now we need you to give us your version of the awkward lead-in. James, introduce yourself.
My name is James Bocks, and I'm here to do a service for the community, which is to interview these two. I have some questions, I have some thoughts, and I have some visions that I'd like to share with the community. And so
James has prepared a vision board.
Here we go. I have. I'm looking at it right now. It is true, Space Cats, Peace Turtles, America, or wherever you're listening, that this is the least professional opening in the world. But that's what we're here to get to the bottom of. I'm fascinated by content creation, specifically this idea of TI4 content.
Yeah.
Because it's a long game, and it's hard to consume except by playing.
Right.
Are there other ways to consume it? And so I guess I'll just start off this question this way. Whenever y'all first made that first episode, I'm assuming it was an excitement for the release of the 4th edition. Why did you decide to make a podcast about a game that takes a day to play?
Well, so we tried to. We didn't even want to do a podcast at first. We wanted to do. We wanted to do what you do. Actually, James.
Yeah.
James, you do. You do battle reports on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we just couldn't figure out how we wanted to do it. We couldn't figure out a way that we felt like made sense to us.
And we couldn't do it consistently. We had tried a couple of random efforts, and both times they sort of worked out, but then we didn't do it again for a long time. And it just was, it was always an uncomfortable thing to try to get these videos done. And then you're right, when they announced the game, it was literally just like, we have to jump on this. Like, we have to, I can't stop reading. You know, there was 2 or 3 days after where people were posting pictures of all the cards and everything from their copy that they had gotten at Gen Con. And so we were just both digesting that so constantly that it was we have to get these thoughts down. And we had for kind of a couple of years talked about wanting to do just some sort of podcast. And this seemed like a perfect opportunity just to work out our chops a little bit. You know, it was more or less, we had been experimenting with different types of content creation. And it was like, well, dang it, we're already talking for hours on end about Twilight Imperium. We should probably just start recording it if we want to get better at doing that. And so the first 5 episodes were more or less recorded at the same time, or they were all organized at the same time. And the first, like, I think 2 or 3 were recorded at once. And then, like, within the next week, we recorded the next one. So that first batch of episodes was all one big chunk that we then added the errata to after the fact,
as we went weekly. One thing that I wanted to admit that I just realized that I don't know that I've ever admitted on the show, when you listen to those first 5 episodes, I don't know how open I am about it, but I'm willing to share it now. Some of that stuff is me hearing about stuff for the first time in TI4. Like, even if at the time maybe I let it sound like I knew what Matt was talking about already. Some of it wasn't. Some of it was literally Matt like being like, all right, so here's what the soul is going to be like now. Yeah. And it's different or whatever. Actually, I don't think Soul was really that much different, but you know what I mean. Like the Winnu was a big surprise. Yeah. Like, I'm sure when you listen to Matt explaining to me what the Winnu is doing, I probably don't say anything, but I am basically being like, oh, wow, this is different, and looking at it for the first time. So, I mean, that's the level of preparedness we had, was Matt had at least looked at it before, and most of it I had never seen before.
Right.
Basically.
So how did the video thing fail? Like, you said you had like attempted a thought.
Well, so the story behind that really goes way further back, which is before I moved to Portland. We were trying to do a video. We'd always talked about doing some sort of video, but then we didn't live in the same state anymore, so we played TI together once a year when when Hunter would come home for the holidays or whatever. So when I was still in Arkansas, I played a game, and what I did is I filmed the game. I had an overhead camera, and we set up a diary room to do diary cams, and tried to record as much of the game as I could. And our version of this was then Hunter just recording his desktop while I walked him through the game and told him about stuff that happened, and then would like show him the video. Like I was presenting the game to Hunter. This is even, it's funny that this is how the podcast was the same thing. It was the exact same situation that Hunter just described. Hunter had no preparation. Hunter sat down at the computer, and Matt brought all this, like, imagine me coming in with like a suitcase full of just like videos and documents and notes, and just like, okay, Hunter, here's what all happened in the game. And then he was basically reacting to it, and we would stop at certain moments and break down the strategy and stuff like that. And the main reason that video failed was like technological difficulties. It was just like neither of us had a setup that worked well enough where the video was going to end up being like a broken bad aspect ratio. And there were lots of weird tech issues.
Oh no, basically. I have to talk about this. I had a custom aspect ratio for, like, I had a weird TV, like an old HD TV that I was using as my monitor, and I couldn't figure out what the aspect ratio was for, or just the resolution for the TV. It was like a resolution that was
Didn't
just
make any
this
sense.
TV. It was only this TV. And I would have to go into my graphics card settings and create a custom resolution just for, like, literally just like manipulate the screen until it fit my TV, which means if you recorded every time I would like record a video on it, it would just be so chewed up by the end of it. Like I would send it off and it wouldn't make any sense to anybody.
Right.
But the goal was to kind of synthesize a game into a shorter format.
Yeah,
we tried the game.
Exactly. I tried to describe the game in about 40 minutes. Was the goal? Was to just like let's hit every major talking point without all the nitty-gritty details. And like, here's a couple snapshots at conversations, and here's a couple interviews where people said what was going through their head. But more or less, it was just a breakdown of the entire story of one game.
All right. So video's out of the picture.
Yeah.
We say, oh, I forget it. We'll just do this podcast. But so you did it like the strategy guides to start out. Then there was this idea of let's try and do a video of Gen Con.
Right.
Let's try Patreon, and it kind of
you had to bring up Gen Con video, didn't you? This is no.
I'm not. No. I'm sorry to the listeners. I'm not going to try and nail Matt or Hunter on the video. But like that idea of, you know what, let's go back to this video.
Yeah.
Was that like a vision did that goal like appear out of nowhere, or
no? That was more or less
it
was wanting to return to that initial idea, because that concept still sits there and brews in my brain of like, boy, I would love to be able to like really nail it with a condensed version of a game that
right.
is engaging the whole time through, and you get every inch, you understand every ounce of what happened.
And you've I almost want to set up with this episode the idea of there's a holy grail experience that I think a lot of people are kind of orbiting, and I think we were orbiting it originally, which is a video that lets me feel the drama of being in that game.
Yep.
And
yes.
I think there's a lot of people out there, James, you're trying to, I feel like you're chasing that. Everybody's chasing that. And there's bits and moments, there's bits and pieces I've seen in other people's content where it's it gets close to that, but just that perfect video that just puts you there. Mm-hmm. That's what I want to see. Just give me all of the juicy story, basically.
Exactly, because, and God bless you for putting them up there. But the 10-hour video of a full game...
too much. Yeah, no, I agree completely.
It's so hard to watch because I'm not there.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
It's like I'm watching someone else have fun.
Right. I agree completely.
I'm not experiencing the drama.
That's been my number one kind of thing with this tournament we've been doing is... getting these videos up is important, but it is not important to me to get the tournament videos up because of this broader content thing. That is almost, I want those videos up more because I purely want the tournament documented.
Right.
And so the tournament has taken this different form. But yeah, I definitely don't relish in having these 8-hour-long videos and expecting people to watch them. The people that do watch them are insane people. I think more than half the views on every video are the semifinalists just watching it and studying it over. And I know Kraken has watched every video 3 times over because he's an insane person. So
that's impossible. I haven't even watched my video. Right. I played it.
Yeah,
that's incredible. But I like that the term "Holy Grail." Yeah, because it is because the fun of playing TI is that high drama.
Right.
And but it's sprinkled in among these long periods of quiet, of rule reading or moving pieces or rolling dice.
Right.
But those moments of I play the parlay or I backstab.
Right.
The story of the galaxy.
It's not enough to have a cell phone video of the crazy conversation that happened when the person played the parlay, because the viewer gets none of they don't understand what all went into that parlay getting played.
How did we get there?
How do you encapsulate 6 hours of tension into a 20-minute video? And it's very, very difficult. And to throw it out there, that is part of why the Gen Con edit has taken me so horrendously long. Is it's a combination of life stuff getting in the way. It's a combination of I'm not a great video editor. I'm not by any means very, very good at it. I go pretty slow. And then the third part being I really want to get it right. I want the whole Patreon was set up around the idea of this Gen Con video, and I do not want to release something that doesn't do that some justice. So it's been a lot of just sitting there with it and trying to is this the shape we've essentially gone with this Gen Con video. It's had a number of different complete structures, entire ideas of how the whole thing should be edited together, and kind of followed that path for a little bit. It's well, nope, that's not how that doesn't feel right. And so we've had to almost start back at square one a couple of times just because it's not coming out visually the way I really want it to.
I would like to take a moment to defend both Hunter and Matt here. And as an amateur content creator, the hardest part of content creation is the editing.
Yeah, it's the worst.
It is very easy to gather a bunch of content, but to turn it into a product.
Right.
That is useful and valuable to someone, or entertaining, or whatever your goal is.
Right.
It's the hardest part to do. Where was I going?
Well, and I'll say something to that.
No, okay, I got something. Yeah, I want to say, just for the record, I have heard that before. That editing, I have heard that.
Hunter has heard me whinge plenty about editing. No, but what's been nice about it, and what the learning process for us has been, we learned a lot last Gen Con. We learned what we need and what we don't need. So we're going into this year's Gen Con with a lot more of that in our minds, and going in with a much better plan. And I feel a lot better about our ability to pump out next year's video, obviously I'm saying this not even having released last year's video, but next year's video will come out much faster because we're going to have a way more logical plan in place. Last year, we were going in blind. I hadn't been to Gen Con in 4 years and had no idea how everything was going to shake out and like if we would even be able to capture footage that was usable. Because
can we call out what the primary mistake that we made? Because I would love to
go ahead.
So we have some like we have a lot of friends that came with us that helped shoot this, and they're very, very talented at what they do, and they are good at getting awesome footage. There's a lot of very, very cool shots,
right? Really beautiful,
and
stuff
by a lot, like, I mean like hundreds.
No, Hunter. On Connor's camera alone, on the final day, there were 1,500 individual shots. One out of four of our cameras had 1,500 shots that I then we're shooting on cameras that are not properly time coded out, so I have no way to know where that shot in the scope of the game, what time it was taken, and what moment. It's a beautiful shot of someone picking up their command counter and dropping it on Mechatol Rex, but I don't know see when in the 4 hours of the game was that shot taken, and I have to sit and find it, and that's been the process for me for like 9 months.
Right.
So if someone was to have like anger about the weight, we now have someone to funnel it to you. Is what you're trying to say?
Right. It's all Connor's fault. Again,
it's
everything of my life.
Connor's fault.
I mean, the guy, can't get right.
Yep.
Let's take a look at so obviously the podcast Space Cats is great. I love it. Thanks. But like another piece of content that I absolutely love is the documentary that's Shut Up and Sit Down to.
Yeah.
Yes.
About the making of the game.
Yep.
And that shows and even they talked about how hard
what
it was to do that.
Exactly.
That just taking it all and trying to put it into a product. And that really, to me, is the only hard part of making content is that editing process.
Right.
You can get stuff, you can record stuff, film stuff, make art or whatever, but to edit it down, and Hunter, an example for you would be like a joke or a bit, or like you having to fold it down or cut it out, or like find the fat, remove it to the front, move it to the back. That's an editing process that you're familiar with.
Dude, I have a joke that I wrote 2 years ago that I've been working on that just started getting funny last week.
See,
and I've been playing with it for 2 years and throwing it out there, and it'd be like a little bit funny at first, and then there would just be this part in the middle where it was just done, and then I would even make fun of myself a lot of times when I would tell it, and I can't tell the joke because it's naughty, but
but won't you just right now on this podcast
I actually
stand-up comedy routine?
I actually can't, and I actually can't and won't, and I wouldn't, but what is this, good one now? No. This is my episode of Good One. Here we go. But no, you're totally right. You're totally right.
But so like, as three people here who have experienced content creation, Matt with whatever his job is, I don't know.
Right. He does something Hunter, for the show. I don't know.
He does something. He does all the hard work. Hunter provides the comedy. That I have experience in theater. I have a degree in theater. I've also done this video content. I've run stuff. I've had a blog for a while. But so we all here, three of us here have experience in creating content.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And I would like to, so like for me, one of the goals of my content was to inspire other people to make their own. And it's, if you go and look it up, TI Reports is what it's called.
Yep.
You can see kind of like, it's not the highest quality thing, but it's my attempt at that holy grail.
Right.
Yeah.
And for anyone, and so what I wanted was for people to see it and go, hey, I could do that.
Right.
But I don't know if maybe I wasn't bad enough at it. I don't think it's great.
You didn't challenge
I didn't
people
sufficiently.
enough.
I just officially lower the bar, or whatever. But that's what I would want people to see and look at. You, Matt, you, Hunter, me, James, as people who are just in love with this game.
Yeah. We
love the math, we love the strategy. It's a very important part. But the thing that makes you want to play it 10 hours is that other thing.
Yep.
Is that it's this high drama game. There's this role play aspect of it, of the size, the epicness of it, the feeling of it.
Yeah.
And this wanting to capture that and share it. Because I wanted to have something. I want to show people, why should they play this game for 10 hours?
Exactly.
Right.
Well, and that's been a big
moments,
part for us, too. Is always of I try to plug it as often as I can, which is hey, the only reason we're doing this is so that we have more people to play this board game with, because there's not enough people playing it. So if you can encapsulate that energy and that storyline that TI presents, that's kind of the big goal. And I agree with you too of that's what initially made me want to do anything. Was there was the Shut Up and Sit Down. They did a video a long time ago of TI3
on TI3,
and they did they did some interviews and stuff. And the only other content for the longest time that existed was people just shooting time lapse video of their table. And I always not to put down people who do those time lapses, because what it does is help inform how to make more content. But I was always I don't understand anything that's happening in this game though, because the pieces moving around on the board are not the story of what happened in that game of TI. Mm-hmm. There's a lot more to it. And so that's where that holy grail comes from, is how do we figure out how to elevate this from pieces moving around on the table to what was actually going on in the hearts of all the players.
Right.
That TI3 video, Shut Up and Sit Down, is as close as I think anyone's ever come to capturing a game.
Right. And even it has its flaws, because their game fizzles out in the end, and it kind of doesn't have a big climax, and it's just there's a lot of things that are really hard to capture.
The winner won with bureaucracy, which is a standard play. They made it sound like it was anticlimactic.
Right.
They could have said they could this is the way, they dominated the board, but I love Shut Up, Sit Down. I love that video. And even the time-lapse videos, you're right, they're not the most entertaining, but they're something.
Exactly. Yeah.
We know what they are because we've all watched them.
Right.
Because we want more. And I feel like we as a community can make more. We can get there.
Yeah, I think so too.
And it's not hard to do. I would like to say, if you're interested in making video, I bought $100 software package. Am I allowed to say the brand?
Sure.
Yeah.
Movie Studio Platinum 14.
Yeah.
It was like $70 or something at Best Buy. I bought a camera for another $80. And then if you watch my videos, all those maps are made in Word.
Right.
They're literally made in Word. and so I just sit there and fiddle with it because I like doing that. And then I do the talking heads, and I don't shoot the whole game. I pick up the camera for battles or key moments that I think would be interesting, and I edit those all together into the video you get.
Yeah, yeah.
The editing takes the day.
Right.
Everything else is minimal effort, but the editing process itself, just to get 20 or 40 minutes, takes a whole day.
Right.
But I'm hoping that there are folks who can hear that and say, "Well, I can do that."
Yeah. Well, and what I would encourage people to do is find something that works for them that is comfortable to do. Because for me, I kind of have grown to hate video editing, which is why the video takes even longer to do. But what I don't hate is audio editing, which is why the podcast has been able to be consistent. Is purely because I knew how to do that, and it didn't weigh on me. I think that's something that Hunter and I harp on a lot, is you can't make anything that you don't enjoy making. So
you have to like the work.
We had the initial idea for what we wanted to do, and we didn't really like doing that. But when we started doing the podcast, we went, actually, I really like doing this, and this is easy to do. It should be easy to do. Not to say it shouldn't be it can take work, but that work should come easily to you for anything you want to make. Because that's the only way you're going to be consistent with it.
And so, if someone's starting out, like you guys started out, I'll try video, and it didn't work out. You're like, well, let's try this audio thing, and it kind of started to work out. And so, your goal when you said we're doing a podcast, Was it simply, I'm going to record 1 hour of talking about TI4 and see what happens? Or I guess in this case, 4 hours.
Yeah.
Just see where it goes.
Yeah, more or less. It was just like, let's just sit down and talk through these things and see how long that ends up being and what it takes to do all that.
Well, I think what was nice about when we started was that we were gonna have all those things that we talk about in the first 5 episodes of us just kind of sitting down and trying this show out. We were gonna talk about all that anyway.
Right.
So
Hunter
like,
was going to come over to my
like,
house and just
I
I was going to show him
right.
all the same stuff. The only thing we decided to do was turn on a microphone. That's literally the only task that was required in actually creating Space Cats Peace Rolls was turning on one microphone.
I think we actually burned an episode. Like we sat down and we didn't record, but we literally talked through like a bunch of like you were just showing me a lot of it, and I think we talked for maybe like an hour or two, and we were like, why didn't we just record all of this and then we just didn't make that mistake again? Like we just like then we turned them on and then we just kept turning
the microphone on. Yeah.
So your goal wasn't, we're going to make a podcast and then we're going to interview Dane Beltrami.
Right.
We're going to create the Discord chat channel, which is basically the clubhouse for TI4 in North America. We're going to have a tournament. We're going to go fly out to Gen Con on these Patreons dime. Your goal at first was, let's just see what we can make.
Right. Yeah, everything after turning the microphone on the first time has been an absolute mistake. Just all happenstance things that have happened to us.
Right. And so, like, and that's what and so my hope is that there's people listening right now that hear these stories, like, they just tried it.
Yeah.
And they started out with some skills. Maybe you don't, listener, I'm talking directly to you now, don't have skills that you know of. But that's okay because, you know, we only got skills because we tried it. We failed.
Yeah.
That's the only reason that if you see any quality in the podcast or my show or someone else's, it's only because they have skill through failure. And you can get that failure if you just make one thing. I will watch it. Go to my comment section.
You've got one fan, guaranteed.
You've got one view.
You've got 3.
You got 2
I'll
views.
watch it too.
Your view.
I'll watch it.
There you go.
That's 3 views.
4. Boom! You're almost there, buddy. You're almost there.
We only get like 17 people in our live stream, so you're like a third of the way there.
You're you see.
We're really good
exactly,
at that.
Exactly. And so, like, that's what I would like is that it's just to find that holy grail, and like there's crazy stuff you could try. You could go in the opposite direction that I go in, which is like this, like, focus on the story. I know the podcast does some of this, but like you could be the person that gets really into the math part.
Yeah.
Really into the real meticulous mathy stuff.
Yeah.
It's not something that I would find enjoyable. But that doesn't mean that I don't want you to make it.
There's lots of people there that would, yeah.
I know, and I would watch it. You could go even further in the story and reenact a game with your friends, like as a play or a one act or something.
Right.
You could get nutty stuff. There's people who do leagues that I see online.
Yeah.
But I don't know anything about. I'm always interested in how they score the league. It's never really clear to me. But if you start like I don't know if anyone here plays Netrunner, but there used to be a channel called PChack where they did the in-store games of Netrunner, and they provided commentary. If you did like coverage of your league,
right?
Like about the players or how they're doing,
I think that's a huge opportunity. Is all these? I know there's a Seattle tournament coming up, like in a weekend or two. If someone's from Seattle and goes and just like covers that tournament, it'd be awesome. There's people that want to hear about that stuff. Same with the Austin group. I know that they're working on trying to get to where they can start recording their games and putting them out there. And it's just
wait a second. When is that Seattle tournament?
April 6th.
Okay. Oh wait, I can't.
Hunter putting it in his calendar. Trying to.
No, well,
it's April 6th and 7th. It's next weekend.
All right, April 7th.
Next weekend.
April 7th, who's your friend? All right, I'm coming.
Hunter's coming. Did he just announce it? All right. But regardless, the point being, I always think of a lot of this content, too, of on like Board Game Geek and Reddit, all the time there's threads of people writing, and it came from the same thing for me of like I used to write down notes after games, and sometimes it would be like very thematic recreations of it, or sometimes it would just be the statistical notes of that game. But people make those forum posts, and the forum posts are great, but why not try to push that into something slightly bigger? Why not make I'd love even like Evernoob's huge spreadsheet that is just a big resource for the community. Anybody who makes stuff like that, it doesn't have to be content that is viewable stuff. People who make stuff for the game blow me away. Graphic artists.
The forum posts are vital.
Yeah.
Do not stop putting forum posts. But I do think it's possible that you could go to the next level if you're taking the time to put into words your entire 10-hour game in an interesting, readable way. Is it possible you could turn it into something viewable? And
right.
The only reason I'm asking is because it's more easy to digest that for someone who I want to get to play the game.
Exactly.
If I can show them this, like, this is what the game is like.
Not everybody reads forum posts. Nobody goes digging on Board Game Geek for those things. But that's what I think I have been proud of with this podcast. And this is me getting into tooting our horn, which I don't want to do. But
too bad.
But the point being, there is a difference in trying to get just reaching out to a new audience of people that aren't gonna go sit on the Board Game Geek Twilight Imperium 4 forum. That gets really niche really fast, and this podcast is already really niche. But because it exists in a podcast feed, or because something exists on YouTube, it is already opened up to more eyes and ears.
Yes, we need more. We need more media. Because I just hate looking at someone who I know would have fun, and I say, "Do you want to play Twilight Imperium?" And they go, "What is it?" I go, "It's this awesome game." I break out the board, I show them the pieces, and I go, "Listen, it takes 10 hours to play." I say to them, "It's not boring.
Yeah,
you will not be bored.
It doesn't feel like
for any moment of those 10 hours, but it is a long game." And they think it's like. My friend Randy puts it best when he's like, in a span of a game of Twilight Imperium, I could have played 12 games of Netrunner. And I'm like, yes, but this is a thing that turns into a story.
Yeah.
It's a thing that we can refer back to. That's why TI4 is awesome, is because it's an experience we live through.
Yeah.
And you're going to remember it partly because of the length.
Right.
But you're going to remember whenever he backstabbed you. Remember whenever Tommy did this. Remember whenever Will did that. Remember whenever he played this. That's why it's awesome.
Yeah.
And we can do that. We can do this. We can capture it and show people how awesome it is.
Agreed. I would love to go through, each of us list off one thing you would like to see more of. Just something you wish existed that we haven't done yet. Or what's like one form of TI4 content you would love to see? Hunter, you go first.
I don't know that this is a whole specific form of content that doesn't already exist. What I would like is I want to see a video of people playing TI that captures the tension that's happening between them, and not even necessarily in a role play way, like in a I don't know, like when you're playing and it's the late game. And you see your path to the end to winning the game, but it's not for sure. That tension you're feeling that whole time, I just want to see a video that really captures that.
Yeah.
I think sometimes what happens is these videos get a little too stuck on the board itself.
Yeah.
It's the players where the tension
is.
Why not?
It's their faces and their body language towards each other.
Why not make a video where you tell the story from just your perspective and your perspective alone?
That's a cool
you are
idea.
constantly explaining your tension and what you're feeling, and all you have to do is dictate to the viewer what you are feeling, and you just put them in your seat the whole way through. I think that's sort of what you're talking about.
That would be incredible.
That would definitely accomplish that. Well, actually, I say definitely. I don't know. So many things, when we sit like this and just talk about it, so many things seem possible.
Right.
And then there's just so much to pierce, so much to get through getting a game to somebody. But that's what I think I want more than anything is I want to see someone playing TI and I want to feel their tension.
Yeah.
Which I don't even like when we moderate a game, and I'll be watching someone play for some of these games went 10 hours.
Yeah.
And I don't know that I always felt the tension.
Right.
For that player. Now, I think a part of that is that we have all the information, which I think kind of sucks a little bit of the tension out for us.
Right.
Because we know what, we can kind of see the Goldberg machine or whatever, this is going to happen, and then this player will win. So sometimes that's anticlimactic, but I don't know. I just want to feel that late game TI. Right. I've been playing this for 6 hours, and I might just win it feeling from a piece of content.
Yeah, that
James,
moment of go ahead.
Yeah, I want to know what do you want to see? What do you wish was out there that you could digest?
I mean, to be honest, I wish someone could do the videos I do, but better.
Right.
I'm taking a shot at it. I've got kids. I'm married. I don't have a lot of time to devote to it. I haven't put a video out in a long time because I haven't been able to play a game. Right. Mm-hmm. If there is someone who could summarize the humor, the epicness of the game of TI into a quick, at least 40-minute. It may even be that you just need to cover the last 3 rounds. Mm-hmm. Right. If someone could just, because I think what I'm saying is exactly what Hunter's asking for. Yeah. Is give me the feeling, the essence of the game. I don't necessarily need the die rolls. I just need the feeling of that game in a quick, in a shorter format. Take that 10 hours and turn it into an incredible 20 minutes.
Yeah, right. Absolutely.
Of the last move that I had to get it just here. Maybe even include the die roll if it was if it was the most important die roll of the game. Yeah. Just that high tension. I like that word tension that Hunter was saying. That you were saying, Hunter. I'm talking to you.
Yeah.
I like that word tension because that's what I want. I want that feeling of TI.
Yeah. For me, I'm gonna go in a different direction here, just because I wanna keep thinking of more ways this could go. And the tournament has got me thinking a lot more about stats. And what I really loved about the prelim round was having 18 games on one map, and a few before that too. There was a lot of people playing the map in the build up to it, and getting to learn more about what was happening, what things were statistically happening more often. And I know people have been tracking TI stats for a while. What I would love to see is more content that is in that direction of let's get more raw numbers and let's see which things are normal and which things are outliers. I would love videos or breakdowns of games where it goes through what were someone's chances of victory? Once we see the whole story play out, we say, okay, Sardak won. How many times did Sardak Nor defy the odds in that game that led to them winning? And go through it number by number and see who consistently had the statistical advantage versus who ended up actually winning. I think there's a lot of value in that information of, is TI won through dice rolls when you need it and having the correct economy and having these numbers, or is it won through these other things that people pull off that help them break the bounds of those statistical advantages?
See, I think oftentimes when we're recording the tournament games, I a lot of times I really wish we could just get up on the screen just the numbers, throw the numbers at you right now. Somebody activates another system, we immediately get up their percentage chance to win, and it changes live depending on how they do. Now we're just talking about stuff that does this is such a fun episode because this is just basically a wish list, but I wish we had that. I don't even know how to do that, but I wish that existed.
But people do, and anytime I'll tell you this much, every time we've brought up some weird new tool we wish we had, someone in the TTS community goes, "Oh, that's possible. That's an easy code." It's what? That's an easy code? Are you kidding me? Let's do it then. If it's easy,
why? Why have you waited?
No, well, but and not to put the pressure on them, but just to say, it's crazy how all it takes is someone going, "I want this to exist." There's the huge main TI stat tracking document that everyone refers to, and we always kind of give it a half pass and say it's a good thing, but it's also not entirely trustworthy and accurate. But like the fact that someone is doing it and has put that resource out there and people continue to log games in it, that's like crucial for the community to have at their disposal.
Because that's something else that I'm fascinated by is like trying to approach, is there a meta for TI4?
Right.
Or does the meta never rise above the table?
Right.
Because in other games that I play like Magic or Netrunner or Hearthstone or whatever, there's a meta game where there's optimized choices.
Right.
Does that exist with TI4, or is it so complicated because of the social aspect that we could never say definitively this combination of tech, purchases, etc., is the most optimum path?
Right.
I keep coming back to probably not, but it would be awesome if it was.
Right, and if we could learn that.
If we could learn that, and then that somehow changed the way we all think about the game. We're just doing the wish list now. You're exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something I want to get a little less wish listy about it, because this is actually something that I think we will do eventually on the Space Cats YouTube. But one thing that I've been really fascinated with, because I've just been watching so many people play Twilight Imperium, I have been noticing. I don't want to make it sound like there's just some players that I just think are like really good at the game. It's not even necessarily about skill most of the time. There are some players that have very specific styles of play that I feel like are different from other players. Yeah. To the point where I like really want to just like build a game where I have rigged it in that I've picked these 6 people to come together as like a very weird example of like, all right, here's 6 people. They all play Twilight Imperium very differently. Let's just break down what makes these 6 people completely different. Yeah. And that like a lot of them have been in the tournament. Some of them didn't make it through the prelims, and I still was like, just the way this person is approaching the game just feels different. Yeah. And some of them have made it. Some of them we will see in the finals. But there's just a lot of style that I have noticed that I just want to like break down, and not even necessarily. Again, I'm not necessarily saying that like there's like a handful of players that I think are like geniuses or something. If anything, sometimes the style isn't necessarily a good sign. I don't know how I feel about it. You know what I mean? It's like I just know that it's different.
Right. My favorite player right now in the finals that we have 4 players in the finals. I say favorite. I don't mean my favorite player, but the one that I find the most fun to watch is Schroeder, because Schroeder is the one who routinely is the most willing to backstab, and you get the most surprises out of Schroeder. I have no idea if Schroeder will end up being the best player. I don't know if he's going to win the tournament, but I enjoy every game Schroeder has been in because unexpected things happen, and that excites me.
Well, what boggles me about Schroeder is that I keep expecting people to be like, "No, I'm not dealing with you."
Right? Nobody has been.
I thought the tournament was gonna have an ongoing like meta to it. And it doesn't feel like that has developed just yet. People still trust Schroeder enough to where he has gotten away with some more backstabbing. So we'll see how that develops further. But yeah, it's interesting just seeing all the different ways that people approach Twilight Imperium, and I think doing the tournament, that's my favorite takeaway of it. Yeah. Is just like seeing all these different styles, basically
establishing more personalities. I've enjoyed that.
Right. Yeah, it's the greatest game ever.
It's the best game ever.
Well, awesome.
It's the best game ever.
James, that's
why you're listening to this podcast.
Yeah, I want to thank you for coming on and pitching this to the community and pleading your case for why more people just need to make stuff. I think it's something that should get said more often, and I'm glad that you're an outspoken person here trying to say like it's not as hard. We talk about editing being hard, but like obviously, then if you can make content that requires less editing, then you've got the ticket, right? So just constantly encouraging other people to keep making stuff.
Yes,
I'm very
maybe it is, and maybe it is hard, but listener, you can do it. You can do it, my friend, and I will watch it. I will watch it. I will listen to it. I will read it. I'm there for you. Try it. Help us out. Thank you.
Awesome. That's a great spot to leave off on. I think we'll cut it there. I think Hunter and I are going to jump into a little bit of errata ourselves and do the rundown. But James, I want to thank you again for coming on.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
That was great. And I definitely we'll plug your TI reports.
Yeah, TI reports. We'll put a link in
channel.
the podcast description. So definitely go check out James's channel so you can get your own inspiration and figure out how to keep helping us solve the puzzle of the Holy Grail.
Yeah. We got to find that Grail, guys. It's Indiana Jones in here. All right. All right, well, welcome to our episode about how to do errata and what kind of TI4
so
errata
Hunter,
we'd like to see.
What is why do you do errata?
I do errata because we mess up.
Yeah, that's correct.
I do it because we mess up, and by we I mean you.
Oh, come on now.
I'm just back here sitting in the shadows, okay, just watching, looking at stuff, not necessarily making choices, just kind of hanging out. And then, you make a mistake, and then I get you. And this is when I get you.
Tell me how you first got me. What's our first one?
Well, it's always through somebody else, but
it's always vicariously.
It's always vicarious. This is just where I live through other people that criticize Matt. This is great. All right, so our first criticism is from Schroeder, who what is this, a Schroeder show? What is this, Schroeder Cats Peace Turtles, where we just talk about Schroeder, our favorite boy? No, so we mentioned in the last episode when we were giving you all of our tournament updates that in Schroeder's game he made a deal and then broke it. That's not how he would phrase it. How he would phrase it is that he made a new deal. He didn't break the old one. Because if the other player had said, no, I want the old deal, he would have said, okay. And for the new deal, he gave him his ceasefire in exchange for the first pick, for retaining first pick with the speaker token. Right. Which is, I think it's an example of just he
Schroeder.
Changed
it's like
the
deal. Most Schroeder thing.
It's the fact that he
said
errata.
I altered the deal, and that's what people talk about when you're breaking their deal.
Right. But to be fair, he did give the person something new that they did not receive before. It's just one of those
Well, we were when we were figuring out which errata we were going to do. You said this, and I thought it was a great word, which is that he had all the leverage. What happened is the situation changed, and he made a new deal. But yeah, you made a new deal because you had all of the leverage in the situation. Because the alternative was they already made a deal about whether or not they were going to get first pick. The fact that you're now offering a new deal is kind of beside the point. But it is that sort of, it's what we're talking about when we talk about players like me or Schroeder, which is like, I am always willing to alter the deal. I am always willing to change the context and find a new way to work out a new deal.
Right.
It basically just comes down to non-binding deals are worthless, that you can't trust them and they're nothing.
To be fair, though, I do believe Schroeder when he says that he would have said okay to the old deal if that's how it would have stood. Right. Because, and the reason why he would have been okay with it, I feel like, because I know this guy so well, I've seen him play twice, but whatever, is that it wouldn't have cost his game to do it. But I have already seen Schroeder in a situation where he made a deal that would have, if he had followed through with it, would have cost him the game. Yeah. And he went back on it. Right. Which isn't necessarily I hope it doesn't sound like I disagree with this idea. Schroeder
I would do that.
Did the
every
right
time.
thing. Yes. Yeah. It's the right thing. And what all I'm really trying to say is that it's a fun watch.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially when you're sitting where we're sitting and watching it all happen. Yeah. And knowing, like when Schroeder made the deal in his prelims game that he had to go back on, we pretty much knew right. I don't remember if you were in that one, Matt, but
no, I wasn't.
It was pretty obvious that there was going to be a tension in the deal right away. And actually, we weren't even the ones who noticed or who even just noticed it. It was also Jim Bob was like, what is this deal?
Hey, wait a minute.
It was just great. It was just great. It was fantastic. All right, Matt.
Our next errata is from Olneyce, Olneyce. And this is kind of in that same point. So this is just more of the same talking point. But we kind of broke down all of this same theory last time, and Olme says, my inclination is to think that Matt's deals only apply for as long as they're advantageous to me approach is worse in the long run than an approach which treats promises as mostly binding for the same reasons that cooperation is the superior strategy in the classic prisoner's dilemma. But that's probably true only in the context of many repeated plays with the same group, and it still depends on the ability of the individual player to capitalize on the greater cooperative opportunities, which is by no means easy. In my experience, the most successful players in the groups I've had are the ones who basically say, I won't lie, and I won't break a deal unless I really, really need to. Which actually isn't ultimately that different from what Matt described. The difference is really just where people draw the line between I really need to and it will help me a little bit.
Right, but I would say the difference between those two stances in a game of Twilight Imperium is gigantic. Like the space between I will change the deal if I really need to versus if it will help me a bit, those are two completely different players, basically.
And I'm certainly on the it'll help me a bit side.
Yeah.
I will change the deal if that's what I mean, that is why I more or less try to offer deals that are purely binding. Because I'm aware of this meta problem and how it will work against me. I don't want the meta problem to work against me, but I know myself and I'm gonna try to make the deals where they work right now, and I'm not gonna be beholden to something else later. It's exactly why I'm always uncomfortable with the support for giving away a support for the throne or giving away a ceasefire. I don't like being held to that bargain later on.
Right. I also want to call out something, though, that I feel like is kind of being glazed over, which is that sometimes people make deals that they know they're probably going to have to go back on.
Right.
And I'm really calling you out for that because
I think that's your perception. I don't think I do that as much as you would accuse me of doing that.
Oh, see, I think I just always see when you do it, I know you so well, I can see the future and I know where this is going. And I don't have it on tape. I don't have myself predicting this. And then,
sure.
Man, we should moderate for each other. And
take one of our old
games
and moderate it?
No. I mean, I want to watch you play a bunch of people
against five
and then
people,
I'm just there moderating and watching you,
yeah.
and then you do that to me. That sounds very fun. We got a lot of ideas out of this. We need to have James on again because I feel like he
come up with ideas.
Yeah, it was. We literally just had an episode that I hope that was fun to listen to. I think it was. It was fun to record. So generally, I hope that means that it was fun to listen to.
Yeah.
But I feel like it was basically like a brainstorming sesh.
Right.
Which was great. I feel so creative right now. I'm excited.
Right. All right. Well, you know what I would like you to do? I would love it that if you like this episode and you like that we do this content and you also want to see more content, to help us spread the word, will you rate us on iTunes and Apple Podcasts? It's the main search engine that people use. It's the main device people get their podcasts on. And so if you give us a good rating on there, it increases our visibility and it helps us spread the word of TI to more people. And it helps us grow our community. Also, the Board Game Geek Golden Geek Awards are still going on. Nominations are closed. And honestly, at the time of this recording, they still have not opened up the final voting procedure, so we have no idea if we're even in it. So I'm making a pitch right now, totally in the dark. No idea if we are among the top 10 podcasts up for voting. So regardless, I'm going to treat this pitch as you should go vote for the Board Game Geek Awards. If we're in it, hey, maybe you'll vote for us, and that would be swell, and we would love that. But even if we're not, go vote in the Board Game Geek Golden Geek Awards. It's a cool thing that happens every year, and it's kind of hard to find, and it's a weird little thing, but it is a huge part of the board game community. So anyone that you help nominate and vote for these top positions, it really helps them a lot. This is not that big of a community, board gaming in general, so it's just important to make whatever impact you can.
Also, I want to say something because you could do all that stuff Matt was just saying, But maybe you don't want to do any of that, and that's also fine. But here's what you could do. Like, let's say if this is for some reason your favorite show, and I'm not, that's basically true for me and Matt. But if there happens to be a third out there, you could also just like write down on a little slip of paper, Space Cats Peace Turtles is my favorite show. Or you could even just take a little slip of paper and say, Space Cats Peace Turtles wins Golden Geek Award from Board Game Geek, and then fold that piece of paper up, and then just like throw it on the ground.
For all the good it would do.
And then someone else will find it, and they'll be like, what's a Space Cat? Who's the Golden Geek?
Podcast. Yeah. They won it. They definitely did. I have a slip of paper here.
Hey,
it's
listen,
a receipt. I have a receipt that proves that Space Cats Space Turtles is the best
They
podcast.
won it. That's what it says
They
here.
won it. You could follow us on Twitter and share us on Twitter and retweet us, and we'll retweet you. And I love getting in on the TI content on Instagram and Twitter and on Facebook. So follow us on all of those places. Also, you can find our posts on the Twilight Imperium subreddit. There's posts and discussion there all the time. Please also consider joining our Patreon to help contribute to the show and help us make more episodes like this one today. This was a Space Kid. James Bocks was one of the first people, or maybe he's the only Space Kitty who specifically joined the Space Kitties because he wanted to co-produce an episode, right?
Yeah.
We
he
put
was
that
like,
forward as a
here's
thing.
my idea. I want to do this.
Yeah, and I love it. That's why we started doing these new Patreons. There's a lot of people that like joined the Good Yin Brotherhood because they specifically wanted to play a game with the Good Yin Brotherhood and us. And James is the first one to jump up and say, I already have an idea for an episode. Here it is. And I want to do it. So thank you to James, and thanks to all our patrons. You can also jump on our Discord and take advantage of a lot of those Patreon benefits. But also, just you don't have to be a patron. You can just be on the Discord and hang out and join all the conversation.
Oh, hey, I'm a comedian. What's up? And I got watch my clips on YouTube if you want. I've got 3, and hopefully I'll have. My goal is to get 2 more up this year. And then also maybe delete some of the other ones. So watch them now. You can, if you happen to live in Portland, Oregon, or in the region, you can come see me right now every Thursday at a show I co-host at Ford Food and Drink called Earthquake Hurricane. It starts at 8 p.m., and we have had some Space Cats people drop in and come see the show, and it's always very fun when Space Cats people come check out comedy stuff, and it's super great. Besides that, I don't really have any other dates in March besides my weekly show. So if you want to hire me to do comedy at your, bachelor party or your birthday party or your
Can I ask when is your rally show, or is that a thing? That I should cut out of the recording?
So here's something you can check out that's kind of fun. So I got accepted to a comedy festival called Oak City Comedy Festival in Raleigh, North Carolina. I don't know when exactly I'll be performing on it. I know the festival is like May 22nd to May 26th. They've got some pretty cool headliners on there, including the Lucas Brothers, who have like a cartoon show, I think, and they also have some like specials on Netflix that you can check out, or maybe you already know who the Lucas Brothers are, in which case, good on you. But yeah, so it'll be the Lucas Brothers and me. I'm going to be the third Lucas brother now.
Hunter Lucas.
Yeah, but it's kind of cool. There's a poster with lots of comics names on them, and then you could just like look through and comb through it and be like, oh, there he is, and you'll see my name. But yeah, it's called Oak City Comedy Festival, and I will be there sometime between May 22nd and May 26th. I'll let you know once I know.
Yeah. And I want to thank our Space Kitties. I want to thank James Bocks for being on the show today. I also want to thank Yin for Life, Patience is a Virtue, Naderade, Durston, and Jim Bob.
Yeah.
And that's the show.
That's the show.
That's the show. That's what the show looks like when we talk about the show.
And that's all, folks.
Can you do the Porky Pig thing?
Nope.
Do you know how? Are you good at? Didn't you use it? You at one point you were trying to learn how to do the.
Yeah. So at one time,
I'd love to hear. I'd love to hear how that went. Let's go ahead and get one.
No. Yep. How dare you?
Yeah, let's hear it.
This is not a nice thing to do. This is.
You do it to me with the Australian voice, so
right? But you can actually do an Australian accent, and like I can't remember how to do.
Can you do Foghorn?
Here, I'll do. I'll do Bugs Bunny.
Okay.
All right. Oi! I'm Bugs Bunny!
I freaking unplugged Bugs Bunny! I'm Bugs. What's up, Doctor?
He's not Bugs Bunny. He's a very naughty boy.
Thank you for listening to Space Cat's Peace Turtles, and thanks to Ben Prunty for the use of his music. You can find more at benpruntymusic.com and benprunty.bandcamp.com. Pax Magnifica, Bellum Gloriosum.